I'm John Chalmers from Bright Light Systems, and I'm going to be demonstrating on how to swap out an emitter driver in our Bright Light Plasma Series luminaires. This is the BLP 450 area light. First thing you do is you need a number 2 Phillips head screwdriver, and you'll unscrew the 4 door frame screws on the outside. Take off the door. Most doors will have a door retainer wires right here, but I'll put this one to the side. Then what we need to do is remove the reflector cover plate with these 4 screws in the corners. Be sure to retain these screws so that you can reuse them when you put it all back together. You can remove the retainer plate. And this plate will snap in with these 4 studs into the corners of the EMC can. Now we move the reflector by just gently pulling up on it. The reflector actually snaps on to the emitter using these spring locks. Put this to the side. And what you see in here is you have your power supply, your RF driver, your coaxial cable, and then your emitter with a plasma lamp inside. Next step is to remove these 4 screws on the retaining plate to the emitter. Take the retaining plate off, and then you have access to the emitter directly. What you need to do is unscrew the coaxial connection right here. The emitter will slide out. Notice how the emitter has a thermal pad underneath that provides good thermal conductivity to the heatsink in the back, and that's extremely important. What I'll do is I'll take this one, I'll grab my new emitter from the box, make sure that thermal pad is in place, and I'll feed that in there. Now take the retainer plate, put it back, screw in the 4 screws, make sure these screws are snug so that the emitter is not loose or shaking around. Once it's tight in there, reattach the coaxial cable. It'll slide about halfway on. Make sure that's snug. Then you place the reflector. Followed by the reflector cover plate. Make sure that snaps into place. Then you'll do the 4 retainer screws, cover plate screws. Finally, make sure you put the door frame back on. Make sure the gasket is clear of any debris so that it gets a good seal. Line up the door frame screws and tighten. And that's it. Now I'm going to demonstrate how we replace the RF driver in the BLP 450. First thing you do is loosen the 5 screws that hold the RF driver to the enclosure. Get 1, 2, 3 in the middle, 4, 5. Once loose, you can disconnect the coaxial cable by unscrewing it from the RF driver. Now that you have the RF driver free, you'll need to unplug the red and the blue power cables coming from it. If you have a wireless card, you'll need to disconnect the Molex from the wireless card that goes here. And this is the Molex connector. So remove the bad driver, place to the side. Grab your new driver, and you want to reconnect the coaxial connection. And then one thing to note is that you want to make sure that the thermal pad is in between the bottom of the RF driver and the heatsink. Line the driver up on the screw holes. I like to insert the middle screw first to line these up. Make sure they're nice and snug. Don't forget the center screw. And then reattach 2 power cords. You'll have a red and a blue. Blue typically goes to black, and red goes with red. Tuck this here inside. Finalize your connection with the Molex to the wireless card if there is one. If not, you can tuck these to the side and then redo the fixture. You're all done.